You're joined right now, I'm very honored to say, by Ambassador Daniel Benjamin, State Department's former coordinator for counterterrorism and now director of Dartmouth's John Sloan Dickey Center for International Understanding. Mr. Ambassador, welcome, sir.
Pleasure to be with you.
Well, the pleasure is mine. All right, let me ask you, first of all, with the closures of the embassies and the basically, it seems like our side, the State Department, our government, telling the world everything we know when it comes to why we close those embassies. Do you think it's been handled properly, or did we A, overreact, and B, have we said too much publicly?
Well, I don't think we've overreacted. I'm reluctant to second guess my former colleagues. They hate to close down embassies. And if they did it because they had credible information. It may not have been terribly specific, which is why so many embassies have been closed, and I'm sure that's a big frustration. As for telling everyone about it, well, you know, it's very hard to keep a secret in Washington. The government hasn't been telling too much, but there's a lot of leaking going on, and that's always detrimental to carrying out government duties, and it's a big problem.
Yeah, and when I meant you know, the leaking or the telling everyone, we had to tell everyone we were closing the embassies, but what I mean is it's gotten so specific that we've been told, or the world's been told, or it's leaked out that you know, basically we got the head of Al Qaeda talking on the phone, breaking his procedure, talking on the phone, and we got tipped off through that conversation. I mean, why would the U.S. government want to put that out there?
The U.S. government didn't want to put that out there. I believe McClatchy Papers or someone else got the story and ran with it, even though the U.S. government asked various media not to put that story out.
But there's someone, obviously, I mean, within the government that is telling us, you know, the press.
Yeah, there's
this
no
stuff.
question. There's no question that someone who should have been keeping their mouth shut, you know, has been giving stuff away. I have to say that after almost 4 years at the State Department, hardly a day went by when I wasn't surprised at what I saw in the papers. And this is one of the really depressing facts of Washington today, I'm afraid.
And what kind of damage could something like this do? I mean, aside maybe from the obvious, where he would now stop using that phone line, which we had secured, you know, or were able to listen in on. Aside from that, what other kind of damage could this kind of leaking do?
That's damage enough right there. You know, in general, anything that gives the terrorists an insight into how we operate is, you know, to be avoided. And so this is regrettable. I have to say it happens with enormous frequency, and it's a real problem for everyone. And
let me ask you about some breaking news dealing with Benghazi. We apparently have now put out an arrest warrant, or are seeking the arrest of Ahmad Khattala. He's with Ansar al-Sharia in Libya. CNN interviewed him the other day, and now almost a year later, we have a sealed arrest warrant reported by CNN out for his arrest. Are we ever, in your view, going to get will justice ever be brought for the 4 dead Americans and those who were seriously wounded in that attack?
I believe so. I think we have a pretty good record of finding people who were behind attacks against Americans. You know, we were tracking down and capturing people who were involved in the TWA hijacking. I think it was 847. 20-plus years after it happened, we stayed with the Pan Am 103 case forever, and we do the same with every terrorist that we have knowledge of as being involved in an attack against the U.S. You know, we were catching people who were involved in the East Africa embassy bombings long after that happened. You know, American officials don't forget these things, and they keep after them. Sometimes cases go cold for a while, but they never give up. You know, there was a one of the perpetrators of the East Africa Embassy bombings was someone we were looking for years and years and years. He turned up in Somalia just, I don't know, a year or two ago, and made the mistake of drawing a gun on one of the Somalis who I believe we had trained or one of our partners had trained, and he was shot dead on the spot. And that sort of story happens with some regularity. You remember there was the shooting online at the CIA back in, I think, 1993.
Yeah.
We got that guy years later, and eventually he was executed. So, the United States just doesn't forget these incidents.
And as far as the the reports that are coming out now about the possible transfer of weapons, that's why so many CIA people were involved, and that might have precipitated the attack. The transfer of weapons from Libya to Syria. The administration originally blaming everything on this video. The Hillary saying, "What difference does it make?" All those kinds of things. Will we ever get to the bottom of that? We have reports of people who were there and survived being transferred to other parts of the country, having their names changed, being given lie detector tests by the CIA every so often to make sure they're not talking to anybody about this. Is all that secrecy going to go away, and one day we'll know the truth?
What truth is it you're looking for? What happened in Benghazi?
I'm looking at what happened in Benghazi. Why did the Secretary of State and the President blame it on a movie? Tell the parents when the coffins were returning that it was because of a movie? All that kind of stuff. Yeah. Why did it happen? Why was the security request denied? Who denied it? I mean, there's lots and lots of questions out there.
Well, I think that the Accountability Review Board, led by former chairman of the Joint Chiefs Mullen and Thomas Pickering, probably the most distinguished diplomat of the last quarter century, looked deeply into these things and answered a lot of these questions. I also think that there's been a lot of hyperventilation in the press about some of these issues. Congressional inquiries have also, I think, helped answer some of the questions. This has, I think, gotten out of control and become a real distraction from the important work of securing our posts and our embassies. An awful lot of investigations have gone on into this. I don't think there's any indication that anything is being kept secret.
Really? So you haven't heard the reports of survivors being transferred all over the country and being told, threatened with their jobs and their families' security being threatened, that if they talk, they're done? You haven't heard any of that? CBS News, CNN.
I've seen headlines to that effect, but that doesn't jive in any way with what I know about how the U.S. government works.
All right, fair enough. I appreciate your time, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye. That's